The book of Job, verse 24. If I have put my trust in gold, or said to pure gold, you are my security. 25. If I have rejoiced over my great wealth, the fortune my hands had gained. This is Christian Realistic Gamer. So for this video, I was gonna be talking about Skyrim. So this is a game that is probably regarded as one of the single-handed most popular video games of all time, especially in the fantasy realm. I'm gonna take a look at this guy. This guy, like, I'm not sure if he's like a kid or not. Kind of looks a little bit like a kid, but let's see here. He talks about how he likes Skyrim, and he's a Christian. Let's listen to some of the stuff he has to say.
Something that everyone subscribed to me would know is that I am a massive fan of Skyrim. It is currently my #1 favorite video game and has been for a while, and it's the main subject of this video. I have made plenty of videos of other games, sure, but Skyrim has always been, and probably always will be, the bread and butter of this channel. Another thing that you may know about me, you may not know this about me because I haven't brought it up a lot, but I have brought it up a few times, so you may know this about me as well, that being that I am a devout Christian. And the reason I am bringing this up now is because, as a Christian, I have seen plenty of times other Christians saying that it is sinful to play Skyrim, as well as other video games like it. My answer to that is no. Skyrim is not inherently sinful. In fact, when it comes to pretty much all forms of entertainment, video games, movies, comic books, you name it, the only real times where entertainment is inherently a problem is if the developers of said entertainment deliberately made it to be anti-religious or pro-degenerate behavior. Other than that,
Okay, so let's see what this guy said. I don't know, I kind of disagree with him, to be honest, but I generally think the vast majority of entertainment is neutral. I mean, Skyrim has a massive amount of deliberate sinful behavior in it. There's just gobs of sorcery in it. There's pagan deity-style beings out there. There's just massive amounts of evil. It's just really like he was like the word, degenerate. It is kind of a degenerate game. But let's just keep going.
No, entertainment is virtually never inherently sinful. And I'm going to be completely honest, it does kind of annoy me when I'm told that I'm in a state of mortal sin because I play a video game. And it's not just me, I'm also aware that many other Christians are just as annoyed as I am. And there are also many Christians that are actually wondering whether or not they should play Skyrim. For both of those reasons, I felt the need to explain why, as a Christian, it is perfectly okay for you to play Skyrim. Also, by the way, this will also kind of be talking about other video games and why it's also okay to play those as well, since this does talk about reasons for them.
Okay, so this is a point where I would argue that it becomes very dangerous, where you start recommending and encouraging people to do things that are basically regarded as evil, because it's like, their soul, I believe, ultimately will end up probably going to hell, or you're just going to ruin and destroy people, just sending them to darkness without, you don't even put any kind of like there's no like boundary lines or something. It's not like, here's some advice of how to, be more good or less evil. It's just some things to watch out for. No, it's fine. Just go ahead and do whatever you want. It's kind of like a very liberal thing to say. Just everything's okay no matter what. I kind of think it's just a stupid thing to do. But
this video as a whole is mainly about Skyrim. So when it comes to Skyrim, there are two two main complaints that people have against it, well, Christians have against it. One, in the game, if you play an evil playthrough, you have multiple opportunities to break the Ten Commandments and sin in other ways. You can lie in persuasion attempts, you can steal, you can murder people, and you can practice magic and necromancy, and the examples go on. By the way, you may have noticed that my room just went bright all of a sudden. That's just because I turned my light on when I paused to record a second. And the second complaint is that religion in Skyrim is not Christian. In fact, it's not even monotheistic like Christianity or any of the Abrahamic religions. It is definitely polytheistic and almost pagan-like, with the 9 divines and the daedra. So people say that you're also worshipping other gods that aren't Jesus. You're worshipping the 9 divines, and if you're playing a daedric worship playthrough, you're worshipping what seem to be the Elder Scrolls equivalent of demons. Now, when it comes to other Christians defending Skyrim, I've seen a lot of them say that you can play Skyrim without doing any of this, since it's an RPG, and you get to make a lot of choices in this regard. And that's definitely a valid point. But my response to people who say that this is bad is that even if you do choose to do any of these things, in fact, even if you decide to do all of these bad things that the Bible restricts, it doesn't matter, because you're not actually doing them. Your fictional character murdering another fictional character in a non-existent universe is not the same as you as an individual.
Okay, so I mean, on the surface, this sounds like a pretty smart thing to say, and there is some truth to his argument. But as you heard like before, like you break the 10 Commandments, you murder, necromancy, magic, false deities. This stuff is evil. There's no. I personally think there's no middle ground to it. Um, but it's also true that at the same time, you as the individual and you and your character are not the same person, and that you also can play the game without touching that stuff. But I also think that you become tainted. Like it's not. There's very little ways you can play Skyrim for 150 hours and just never become tainted with any kind of sin. I personally think it's like the idea of corruption. Corruption can and will get in, no matter how you want to look at it. All right. Let's just take a look at something else. Or about there's what's it called? There's fair use. So you're allowed to use some of other people's content, but generally don't blatantly steal. But yeah, it's fine to use other people's content, generally with permission. But people who wouldn't, they're kind of dicks. But just don't worry about it too much. Okay. So in this game, people generally call it a medieval fantasy sandbox because that's kind of always what it is. Yeah, there's the main story. It's it's kind of garbage and it's forgettable. A lot of people never even finish the game. So like this kind of takes place in the basis of like this kind of has like a first person Dungeons and Dragons style game. The idea is to basically stop a dragon. You explore the world and you fight stuff, make money, you get better loot, you just upgrade your stuff, you go further. And each major area has its own so like there's different like fantasy races. Like you see here is like they call Khajiit, the cat people. So, I mean, it's like an open world action adventure. It's very light on the moral choices, very light on the story half the time, too. It's been ported to like everything at this point. Um, it's also really old. Um, tons of mods. It's kind of at this point, to be honest, it's almost just more of like a joke and a meme at this point. But there's a lot of things you got to be careful of too. Like, oh yeah, like right here, it's a vampire lord. Uh, this stuff is like extremely unholy. There's also werewolves. They have these tons of mods. It's a it's just like a sweet roll or something. A bear with a helmet. It's kind of funny. Um, it has a lot of fantasy themes in it, but not everything in it is necessarily evil either. Let's see. Oh, um, it's set in a very it's called dark fantasy, or I call it quote unquote evil fantasy. It's I feel like my general disposition is I have a pretty neutral opinion about it. You don't have to use magic really. There's some shady stuff here and there. But I've beaten the game like 3 or 4 full times. But it's also pretty dangerous too. There's a lot of really perverse stuff. Like right here. So some stuff you gotta watch out for. I was like the Dark Brotherhood. They're basically like the devil. They follow the devil. It's basically what they do. They murder people for money. It's also the Thieves Guild. They just rob people blind. They're bad people too. It's like the College of Winterhold or the Mages Guild. Uh, they're basically just evil in their own ways too, because magic is bad. Uh, there's a lot of pagan themes in it. There's cultists in it. They have a lot of some pretty dark crap in it. Let's take a look here. Exposing the darkness videos. Let's take a look here. Oh yeah, I also realized when I went back and checked out, due to the mic recording, I tried doing this one a little bit different with the audio. It still might be bad, but I'm gonna pause it when I speak, otherwise you can't hear me speak. I put the internal audio plus the microphone. We'll try it out
Order your free
though.
Donald Trump Collector's Gold Bar now. We're giving these beautiful Trump Gold Bars to...
The purpose to showcase evil fantasy in the darkness and content. Mostly highlights specific aspects for discernment. This stuff is actual demonic, satanic. Sorcery and so-called gods are the pathway to hell. There is vile pagan themes too.
And then the ugly truth. We are the children of man. Talos is the true God of man, ascended from flesh to rule the realm of spirit. The very idea is inconceivable to our elven overlords, sharing the heavens with man. They can barely tolerate our presence on Earth.
Okay, so Um, from my old, this is one of my old videos on BitChute, but generally what I try to do with Exposing the Darkness is I just put a little headline. I just want to just show stuff in the game that's kind of uncomfortable or fantasy or just dark or just unholy. Like even this right here, I think it's called an arcane enchanter. That look, just look at it. That that is that is super perverse. I mean, I can understand the idea of making potions is a little bit shady. It kind of uses magic, but like this, that I would that stuff is bad. I get that you need to upgrade your equipment in the game and everything, but that's a whole nother level.
So, you wish to master the arcane arts? You know, if you've got the aptitude, you should join the Mages College in Winterhold. There's a tranquility in magic, don't you think? I believe I am, yes. Technically speaking, of course. The city is also home to a priest, priestess, an alchemist, and I'm sure others who practice. Ah, that reminds me. Speaking of alchemists, I have some frost salts for Arcadia. She asked me to obtain them for one of her potions. Would you be so kind as to deliver the frost salts for me? I'm sure Arcadia will provide some form of recompense. Remember, your mind is the best weapon you have.
Okay, so you said that guy right there. I probably can't pronounce his name. Farining, maybe. Um, so that guy is called a court. I think a court magician or a court wizard. Like a big city has their own court wizard. But as a Christian, if this was real life, that probably would be like a priest or like a church. But instead, they got like a magic user. Something to be aware of. Oh, my personal opinion. I might talk about this later too. Like, I'm not saying I want. I'm not. I'm also not going to endorse this game necessarily. I'm not going to give a seal of approval. But if you did play this game, generally I wouldn't use the magic if possible. Like, healing potions or something. That's one thing. But if there's magic items like you pick up a ring and it has like health or something, yeah, that's a different matter. But stuff like the scrolls and stuff, honestly, they're just worth a lot of money. You just go to the town shop and just sell them, make a bunch of money from them. It's somebody else's problem. But I would try to avoid that if possible.
This stuff is morally gray. Usually dark plus harsh. Can be in-game criminal too.
Dragon. That's the best fight. You won't get
Okay, so obviously this is a little bit shady, but it's like for science. In the game, you could just murder people. It's like, here's 3 guards. I just walked into the town, pulled out my weapon, and I just started killing people. Now that's pretty dark. Now I know we have free will. Obviously, never do something like that in real life. That stuff is really evil. And never try to kill somebody. Just choose life. Obviously. Obviously. especially as a Christian, try to be more loving if possible. Stuff happens, but like, just try never to do that. Um, you can just kill people. You can just rob people blind. There's a lot of bad crap you can do, and you gotta be careful of that stuff. Murder is evil.
Someone do something! Help! By the gods, that really just happened!
Hold there. Before I let you into Riften, you need to pay the visitor's tax. For the privilege of entering the city. What does it matter? All right, keep your voice down. You want everyone to hear you? I'll let you in. Just let me unlock the gate.
Oh yeah,
I had another run.
that's probably a good idea to try this. You don't have to look at all the advertisements or whatever nonsense. So yeah, like Skyrim has a lot of corruption in it. And a lot of the stuff exists in real life too, but still.
Running with a thief's guild.
Be careful. The thieves
I don't know you. You and Riften looking for trouble. Last thing the Blackbriars need is some loudmouth trying to meddle in their affairs.
I just don't want you to.
The Blackbriars have Riften in their pocket and the Thieves Guild watching their back. So keep your nose out of their business.
I'm really getting tired of your excuses. When you borrowed the money, you said you'd pay it back on time and for double the usual fee.
I know I did. But how was I to know the shipment?
What's more important is that you get the message across that we aren't to be ignored. A word of warning, though. I don't want any of them killed. Bad for business.
Not wanted. You eat our food, you pollute our city with your stink, and you refuse to help the Stormcloaks.
But we haven't taken a side because it's not our fight.
Hey, maybe the reason these Greyskins don't help in the war is because they're Imperial spies.
Imperial spies? You can't be serious.
Maybe we'll pay you a visit tonight, little spy. We got ways of finding out what you really are.
Okay, so that other scene was like the Thieves Guild. Here is a place where you see there's the two major factions of the game. There's what are they called? The Imperials, basically like the Roman army, and then they have the Nords. And the Nords are basically just racist in a lot of ways. A lot of the stuff exists in real life too, but it's still pretty dark.
Sweet mother, send your child unto me, for the sins of the unworthy must be baptized in blood and fear. So very tired. Please, how long must I... Finally! My prayers have been answered! It worked! I knew you'd come! I just knew it! I did the Black Sacrament over and over with the body and the things. And then you came, an assassin from the Dark Brotherhood. You don't have to say anything. There's no need. You're here, so I know you'll accept my contract. My mother, she died. I'm all alone now. So they sent me to that terrible orphanage in Riften. Honor Hall! The headmistress is an evil, cruel woman. They call her Grella the Kind. But she's not kind. She's terrible to all of us. So I ran away and came home and performed the Black Sacrament. Now you're here, and you could kill Grella the Kind.
Sleep well. Does it matter? You're warm, dry, and still very much alive. That's more than can be said for old Grelod. Half of Skyrim knows. Old hag gets butchered in her own orphanage. Things like that tend to get around. Oh, but don't misunderstand. I'm not criticizing. It was a good kill. Old Crone had it coming. And you saved a group of urchins to boot. But there is a slight problem. You see, that little Aretino boy was looking for the Dark Brotherhood. For me and my associates. Grelad the Kind was, by all rights, a Dark Brotherhood contract. A kill that you stole. A kill you must repay. Well now, funny you should ask. If you turn around, you'll notice my guests. I've collected them from, well, that's not really important. The here and now. That's what matters. You see, there's a contract out on one of them, and that person can't leave this room alive. But, oh, which one? Go on. See if you can figure it out. Make your choice. Make your kill. I just want to observe and admire.
That is the music of life.
Okay. So, again, I stand by my statement. I personally think the Dark Brotherhood is just like, I know I use the word satanic as a Christian, but these people are like actual Satanists. Probably inspired by the devil too. Probably inspired by Todd Howard or whoever. Well, I made this. Just probably looked up a bunch of evil stuff to make it. Now I've played the full walkthrough on most of these games. Is all the evil factions and stuff. I feel kind of ashamed looking back. I try to repent. Maybe in some ways, me talking about it here is my way of trying to make amends for it. But that's really evil. Like, look at this. It should make you feel super uncomfortable. And I mean, I don't even know what to say. It's just really evil. Okay, now as a Christian in this, you have the ability in Skyrim to destroy the Dark Brotherhood. One of the most righteous things in the game, because you can destroy and purge this damnation from the world. So that, I think, is a super giant W. And if you're a Christian, definitely don't join the Dark Brotherhood. Instead, just destroy them. And just send them back to hell where they came from. And have justice be served. Because these people are evil.
Again.
Such a
Working on it, my spare monk.
The wise trader finds the best opportunities, even if he must travel far to find them. Skyrim is a ripe opportunity indeed. The dragons and the war have scared many other traders away, but for those with courage, there is much profit to be made.
Okay, so there was one about Khajiit. They sell, I think it's called Moon Sugar. Now, not everything about this game is evil. Like, I don't. As a Christian, I don't hate fantasy. I mean, some of the stuff is cool. Like, there's the giants you saw there, and they had mammoths. They're generally peaceful people. They're actually, in my opinion, probably like morally good in some levels. Like, they won't attack you unless you antagonize them. And they will stand there and they will kind of like threaten you for a second, and they will try to be peaceful. Unless you move in further, or you keep standing there and you refuse to leave, then they'll attack you. It's kind of like, sort of like a moral goodness in the world. Now, obviously, you can just attack them or whatever in the game, but you got to get your loot or whatever. But still, it's kind of like like a moment of clarity in life. Here's just like a spellcaster. Spellcasting is just satanic. That's just my general opinion. I get it. In a fantasy world, sometimes you have to use a little bit of it, but this is still bad.
find out. Now that we've got that out of the way, I'll take everything you have. Your life. Actually, on second thought, never should have come here.
Okay, so like here's some examples of adventuring. You know, I think I like the fantastical versions of stuff. The stuff I like about this game. Again, I actually really like this game in a lot of ways. But again, I'm not as a Christian though. I'm trying to tell you that there's a lot of darkness in it. Like even this guy here, like there's some Hague, I think called a Hague Raven, just kind of like a nasty creature or something. I'm trying to be judgmental, but I don't know how else to say it. No, it killed a bunch of people, and it enslaved this guy. And you let him out of your cage, and he's like, you know what? I'm just gonna kill you and take your stuff. And it's like that's pretty dark.
You've got that out of the way, I'll take everything you have.
Make your own choices on fantasy. Hopefully this gave insight. Thank you. God bless.
Oh yeah, so like right there, that was the whole cultists and stuff. Again, I think I got another video here somewhere. I'm gonna check. Well, this doesn't necessarily have to just be about Skyrim, but here's one about the Elder Scrolls Online that I made a while back too. Well, presuming it loads. Okay, so what I said about Skyrim is I kind of like it, and it's kind of a neutral game. Obviously, there's like tremendous amounts of spiritual darkness in it. Personally, the Elder Scrolls Online, I honestly probably would say you shouldn't play it. If you can't, if you just not even the middle ground. I don't know. That's just my opinion. Like you pretty much have to use magic in it. It's just kind of a bad game. I mean, it's a cool game, but kind of a bad game. Let's take a look here. See what I have.
This will focus on highlighting fantasy mostly. ESO has so much sorcery and magic in it. A handful of different examples to discern evil fantasy. My biggest L to here is the excessive magical themes. Very anti-biblical.
There it is, the sky shard.
Are you aware of our patron Saint Alessia? Her deeds? Her champion?
Ariel, bless and keep your soul. May he, our greatest ancestor, always be at your side.
Okay, so again, from like exposing the darkness, I just wanted to show a bunch of different fantasy stuff. Not all of it's evil. Some of it's like there's pagan. Shows like some shrine to some like quote unquote god. Uh, it's like almost every player is just consumed with sorcery. Sorcery is all the skills and all the abilities. It's something I just get sick of. I mean, there's no neutral ground anymore. Let's take a look here.
The god of schemes can see every part of Hellhammer. We need to distract him.
Dragon god of time, I require your strength. Let the way be opened. Let these wandering souls return home. Let the will of Moloch Baal be denied.
Okay, so I think that was kind of like some of the trailer for the game. I think I added some of my own music to it. I think I unintentionally made it sound very cool compared to the it kind of a lame soundtrack, but definitely looked a lot cooler with it. But um, okay, so some things I would point out. They have like the Daedric princes. They're basically like so-called gods, quote unquote. They're basically evil, and just, being known as Moloch Baal, or what's his name, Moloch Baal or Moloch Baal. He's basically supposed to be like the main villain of the game. He's basically like the devil, like the Antichrist of the series. He enslaves people's souls, sends them to this soul uh, soul haven, I think it's called, and he tortures and punishes people, and he has an extremely big ego. So again, I mean, I do have to give a W where the W's are, though. There is this one of the Daedric princes that's generally considered to be righteous, and both of them are both in Skyrim, but they're also in this game too. I'm trying to remember what her name is, but she's not quote unquote God. I mean, again, all deities are false. There's only God in heaven is God, but at least she's righteous. She's like this light, righteous being who hates unholy things and seeks to purge the world of the darkness and bring light instead. So I'll give a W where a W is at least it's good in a fantasy world. I don't know what else I have here. Okay, so this is kind of like a neutral, just some of my opinions on it. So I mean, again, there's a lot of evil in it, and there's I don't know, there's occasionally something good. It's kind of a neutral world, but um, so like I do enjoy walking around the map and like collecting stuff. It is kind of mindless too. It's also very secular. Um, like I do like fighting stuff or whatever, but magic and whatever so-called gods or whatever that stuff is bad, and you got to be careful here. So I'm not going to approve of this game, but I'll just give some Christian perspective on it. I'll stay away from the damnation stuff. I mean, probably shouldn't play this game to be honest. I'd just play Fallout 4 instead. They're getting a next gen update soon, but I mean the same thing with like The Witcher 3. Just play Cyberpunk or something. You don't have to do some demonic stuff. But at the end of the day, my stance is it's, well, in holiness is between God and you and God. But make the better choices rather than the worst choices. All right. Thank you. God is good.